Hey guys, I'm Robin Rosado with Top Speed Golf. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite drills and one of the best ways to get you hit your irons much more solid. So let's go and get started. Okay, so in today's video, I actually have one of my students, kind of a before and after. Before, when she was hitting her irons pretty good, but not super solid consistently, and then after, when she was really hitting her irons pure. So today, what we're gonna really focus on is actually gonna be shaft lean at impact, how we're gonna get our hands ahead of this golf club to hit our irons really, really solid. And with her, every once in a while, she'll hit the ball pretty solid, but when she was, it was going pretty high and not that far. So maybe that's you. Sometimes you catch it thin or chunky, but when you do hit it solid, it doesn't seem to really go as far as you want it to be, and you're just hitting it really high. And actually, maybe you're not even creating a divot with the irons. So that's what we're gonna talk about this first part. First part, we're gonna try to get ourselves getting a divot after the golf ball, and then we're gonna get you into a good drill that's gonna help you create the shaft lean at impact. All right, so if you take a look at her swing right here, she's got a great golf swing, but right before the golf ball, she has a tendency to throw her hands at it for some reason. Now, she was taught a while ago that she needs to be constantly releasing the club, and I've heard that a lot, to just throw your hands at it or get your hands rolling over to release the golf club. So what she was doing is she started rolling them over too soon, and then she started realizing, oh, I'm starting to hit it left. So then she compensated by still throwing the hands in, but now she started adding a little bit loft, not necessarily fully flipping at it, but a tiny bit. But the biggest thing is she was adding loft to it, throwing the hands at it, and not actually creating shaft lean. So that's why when she was hitting it pretty solid, she was hitting it high, but not really going that far, because of this golf club. She's turning this club now, adding loft to it, and then that's killing her distance. So then that's what we need to understand. When we're creating shaft lean, what we need to understand is that we're actually de-lofting the golf club, taking the standard loft of whatever club you've got and turning it down. That's what's going to create a lot of ball speed for you. So on average on the PGA Tour, they're de-lofting every single club about 30% of the actual loft on this club. So in this first part, let's get you trying to get a divot after the golf ball first, and then we're going to talk a little bit on technique. So we got our handy dandy foot spray here. Simple, just draw a line here, a straight line, kind of in line of where you're aiming. And take a golf ball, place it right on that line. Now, before we go to actually hitting the golf ball, we need to make sure that we're trying to get a divot after this golf ball. So with that being said, just simply set up to this line here, place it in your normal ball position, and take some slow practice swings. And what you're gonna try to do is brush the turf afterwards. If you find that you're not creating any sort of a divot, try to just get used to the feeling of creating a divot. Now, the next thing I want you to feel is actually weight transfer, because I see a lot of people, when they're trying to get these irons nice and high, they're hanging back on this right side. So then with that being said, after we take a couple practice swings, kind of brushing the turf, now get a little bit more weight transfer over. So then that talks to our step drill, starting together with our feet together here. We're gonna take the club back, and at the same time we're taking this club back, we're going forward with our feet. So that helps you get the initial move of our lower body starting, my lead foot getting over to my left side, and then that's helping me keep my hands ahead, and I'm able to compress the ball. So let's go ahead and do 3 regular practice strokes without the step drill, just trying to get a little bit of the brushing, making a little bit of a divot after that line, and then go ahead and do 3 where we're stepping now into the ball, getting our weight transferred over, and we want to brush the turf. So I didn't really cut a little bit thin there, or didn't really get much of a divot. That one was really good. So once you get 3, then you're getting a little bit of the turf built up after that line, go and step up to it and hit it. And so then that's going to give you a good idea first of getting a little bit of divot after the golf ball. Great. So that one you can clearly see I got divot right after that line there, hit the ball really solid. So that's just the first part there, just kind of helping you get used to getting a turf built up after the ball or after that line. Now let's go ahead and get into technique. Okay, so let's go and get into technique part about this. So when we're getting our hands more ahead, creating shaft lean, what does that all entail? First part, let's start with from the ground up. At impact, we definitely want weight more into our left side. So technically, let's try to get to like 80-20 by the time we get to impact. 80-20 more weight to our lead side compared to our back side. With also that being said, we need to get our hips open. Tour average is about 45 degrees open. So maybe set that self as a goal for you right at impact, 45 degrees open with these hips. The reason why is, so I'm not just gonna say, oh, rotate your hips open. Yes, it does help you release the club, does get you some more power in the golf swing, but also what it does is gets your lower body out of the way. Too many times I see people's hips square, and what happens is all that this club is coming in with a lot of speed, and right now, if I try to create more shaft length with my hips dead square, there's a good chance that face is gonna come in open, or maybe hit shots I don't want to. So we need to get this lower body out of the way in order for my hands to stay ahead of the golf club. That's kind of key component number one when creating shaft lean, is getting our lower body, our hips out of the way. So 45 degrees open with the hips. Shoulders are gonna be trailing the hips, so they're only gonna be, tour average is about 10 to 12 degrees. So if I'm opening my hips now, my shoulders are trailing the rotation of my lower body, so they're not gonna be as open as my hips, but they're gonna be 10 to 12 degrees open. Now, now that we're rotating out of the way, what are our hands doing? Well, we're trying to get to a point where, let's say at a dress, we have a little bit of shaft lean on a dress. I want this button in the club, so you see the line is gonna be drawn, should be pointed somewhere in between my left ear and left shoulder. By the time we get to impact, after we rotate out of the way, if we're increasing our shaft lean, that line should be drawn outside of my lead shoulder, would be my left shoulder. So with that being said, then we're also de-lofting the golf club. So with that being said, here's a good drill to help you out. So go ahead and set up to the golf ball like you normally would. Take a normal ball position, normal stance. And what I want you to do is, since you just learned what impact should be like, I want you to get into an impact position. So we're gonna sit up to it right now and just simply try to get your weight over. You're not gonna be fully get all your weight over to your left side, only because you're staying still. So you're gonna keep balance with this back foot here, but you're gonna try to get as much weight as you can into my left side here. Hips are gonna mimic 45 degrees open. So same thing, my shoulders being about 10 to 12 degrees. And I want you to feel like your hands are staying ahead of this golf club, butt of the club's pointed outside of this left shoulder, and my face is now square, but de-lofted. Now, to help you out with that is, because, you know, we still want to semi-hit down on the ball just a little bit. You know, when we're doing it, when you're getting to this impact position or mimicking impact, I want you to kind of press down into the turf just a little bit. Feel, for me, my right hand, I've got this angle of extension. I'm covering the ball. I'm just giving a little bit of pressure there into the ground. So what we're gonna do is do this right before we hit the ball. Boom, reset, and then go ahead and take a swing. And you're gonna try to mimic exactly what you just felt at impact, and then get onto your follow through. Right, so if you take a look at her after video now, she is taking more of like a 3/4 swing to half swing, but she's really focusing on impact. You're gonna see that she's creating a lot more shaft lean at impact. She has a little bit more weight into her left side. She's rotating a little bit more open. So we still got some room there, but the biggest thing is she's really compressing the ball now consistently, hitting her irons really, really solid and creating more shaft lean at impact. So now that we're getting more shaft lean at impact, like I don't want you to just stop right at impact and just hit down on it and create shaft lean. We need to learn how to release it. That's kind of the next point. And that's what Clay's gonna talk about right now. He's gonna talk about the straight line release. You're gonna wanna click on the iCard there in the corner because it's gonna take you to the full version of the video. But getting yourself to release, after you've compressed the ball really well, release it, and now you're ready to hit some seriously solid irons.
A common misconception I see is that we want to create lag and we just want to hold that lag all the way on through contact and get as much lag as we can coming through contact, and that's simply not true. In the release section, we're going to talk about how to turn that lag into energy, how to turn that into speed so that you can hit it very far and do it, like we mentioned, without hardly any effort at all. And as we're coming through contact, we're going to fully release this angle as we're about 45 past contact. So if I draw, a 45-degree angle, I should be looking at both arms, nice and straight, the club splitting those arms, so that by releasing the club, by getting this angle to release as we're coming through contact, that's what's going to create the speed. Our hands are moving a very short distance, our club is moving a very long distance through contact, and it creates that whip-like effect.
Very different swings, hitting the exact same position. So first let's take a look at Dustin Johnson, releasing the club 45 past. And the reason we're going to see such different swings producing similar positions is that this is the real physics of how this has to happen. Here we're looking at Sergio Garcia. Again, we're going to see tons